Colby slotted home. And Swanson bagged his first. Two games contributed to an uninspiring week at Fratton, which we'll get onto in a moment. Barnsley and Oxford picked up a much-needed 3 points yesterday. An incredible game at the Valley ended 4 apiece, and home wins for 6 teams yesterday, including Derby, Fleetwood, Peterborough, Port Vale and Sheffield Wednesday. And all of that means, despite having not played yet this weekend, Plymouth remain top. Pompey retain the third of 4 available playoff spots. Join us tonight for a debrief of the week at Fratton, plus a look ahead at the next couple of weeks on a packed-out 4-0 Sunday Live. Good evening, everybody. See what I did there? Packed out. How we'd absolutely love to have him back, wouldn't we? Packed out is not what we want to hear, but Pack is out nonetheless. But what is good news is that we are in with a pretty much a full set of gentlemen this evening. Watch this. Here we go. Well, hey, good evening, everybody. Hope you're all doing really well tonight. We've got Brendan and Mike. You're a little bit chopped off. Sorry, gents. I don't know if I can do anything about that. Oh, that might be better. Should we go for that? I think we might. I don't know if everyone gets fully kind of. I don't know. We'll see. We'll. Oh no, we do need to do that because otherwise you can't see them. There we go. That's better. Reese is here as well. Good evening to you, mate. Thanks for joining us. Gaz joins us all the way from Malta. Barney doesn't quite join us all the way from New York City, but you wouldn't be surprised if some people assume that. Sean joins us from beautiful sunny Devon, and Jack's all the way. He's from London this evening, but first and foremost, an Oxford fan. Brendan, Mike, we'll chat to you guys first, get the pleasantries out the way. A very special day for you yesterday, Mike, for those who would be very surprised if they haven't seen, but fill us in regardless.
Well, those that didn't see me, I had the lovely privilege of being the person to lay the football, Portsmouth Football Club, Armed Forces Football Club's wreath in the centre of the centre circle yesterday after the 2 teams had placed theirs. Had about 15 other Falklands veterans with me there. They were on the touchline. Once we've avoided the sprinklers, which they forgot to turn off, so we didn't get too wet. So that was one of the things that didn't go right. But otherwise, it went quite well. I've got some lovely videos from people from all around the stadium, and I've got some lovely pictures as well. I mean, it will live forever in my memory, obviously, and I think maybe even Brendan's and some other people, obviously other people that know me. But it was a great honour. But we were there to pay respects to anybody that's died in any of the wars that belonging to the armed forces or even the civilians. So it was basically a pre-runner to what I normally do when I go up to the cenotaph on the Sunday, which is the 14th, I think it is this year, and I will march down the cenotaph. And my wife, I think it's the 14th. No, 13th, sorry, 13th. My wife will be marching with her naval nurses and with her sister, who's also a naval nurse. And I will march down with the South Atlantic Medal Association boys and girls. So, we have a good time, but it's there for the right reason. Solemn reminder of all the people that have lost their lives in the wars.
Brendan, how much did you enjoy seeing you down on the pitch and then not enjoy the football? Contrast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, brilliant. Meeting up with all the Armed Forces supporters guys before the game in the Warrior Lounge, and also then meeting you afterwards outside doing our interviews and stuff. And then that's the best part of the day, Tom, I must say.
Yes, it is. Yeah, good about saying that.
And then and then seeing Dad march onto the pitch, and doing what I love to see him do, and a great thing for us as a family, as well as for Dad in particular, being Pompey fans, and Dad marching on the pitch for the Remembrance game. And the game, obviously, we'll get onto a bit later, but that was a bit disappointing in all honesty.
Just a bit, yeah. Reese, you were there. We saw you outside the ground, and Brenda mentioned the interviews. Lovely to see you again. We know that there's reasons as to why it's been such a long time. It's been a desperately long time for us. Just briefly, how are you, and what are your overall reflections on yesterday initially?
Well, to start with, Tom, it was really, really nice to see you and Andrew. It's been a long time since I've seen you. And second of all, it's a real privilege to be on here tonight with all of you regular people coming on. Game yesterday. I think I came away a bit disappointed, if I'm honest, purely because we wanted a rebalance from the Tuesday night against Oxford. I think the game itself, we played a lot better, a lot quicker with the ball. It wasn't as draining to watch in the first half. Let's put it that way. We passed it around, but we're still having this consistency of passing it back because we don't have the options in midfield, i.e. Pack, Lowry, to move that ball forward and find them runs moving forward. Hence why we kept passing it back across to the Raggett, back to the keeper, then back to the left side, back to the right side. And I think that's really what was draining the Pompey fans out so much yesterday. But yes, overall, the game, it is a point. We are still unbeaten at Fratton Park. That's the positive you need to take into consideration. I know everybody wants 3 points all the time, but overall, it could be better, but at the same time, it could be worse.
Absolutely. Before we get round to the rest of the gents, good evening to everyone else who joins us live across YouTube and Facebook this evening. Rob's here, Dylan's here. Paul says, play at Pompey from Southsea. You're not far from Fratton Park at all, Paul. You're probably the closest to Fratton Park this evening out of all the gents, I think. I would have thought. Reece, you might be closer. No, maybe not.
No. I live in Pagham, near Bognor Regis.
Okay, so you're probably one of the furthest then. Hello to the Redo one who said, can I have another shout out? There you go. There's a lot of love for Jack already coming in. Matt said, good evening. Hello to Johnny. Welcome to Bob from sunny Granada. Bustin Cider has said, good evening, Tom. Good evening. Straight back to you, mate. Hope you're really well. Where is the fish tank? He is just...
everybody's got it at last.
I gave him the satisfaction, mate. He can have it. He can have it. Welcome, Bustin. Welcome to the show. Graham has said, where's the fish tank? Aaron's on. He's on holiday in Italy, would you believe? So there you go. And Robert said, problem is, Tony can't pass forward at all. We will get onto that in just a moment. Gaz, welcome all the way from Malta. I saw a very special young lady in the chat earlier on as well, who's joining us too. So a very warm welcome to Paige. How are you, mate? How's your week been? All good?
Yeah, it's been all good. Obviously, football hasn't been great this week, obviously on Tuesday and Saturday. But yeah, it was nice to watch the Remembrance clip before the game being exported. Myself, like Mike, like Sean, and some other guys in the crew, shall we say? But yeah, well respected as always from our fans. And yeah, it was a good day, for, a nice occasion. But yeah, the football was dire, shall we say? Kieran Dyer, that's what they say, don't they?
Wasn't good, mate.
It is what it is, and with all these injuries and stuff like that, it's gonna, it's perfect excuses for Danny, but it is what it is, isn't it? Most people come out saying we've got these problems and this problem, but we realistically have got a lot of problems with injuries, and you can see it yesterday. We didn't capitalise. We tried Oxford on Tuesday, but again, we've come out with some injuries there again yesterday. Looks like we may have picked up a couple of knocks yesterday as well. So, yeah, not looking great, shall we say. It's great if you're a physio, great if you're a doctor, you're busy. But, if you're a coach, there's no one turning up for training. So it's a bit different.
It feels weird, doesn't it, Barn? It feels like everyone has had an injury at some point or a sickness, or in the last 3 weeks, it's just everyone has been ill.
I can't think of a game recently where someone's not looked like they were limping, struggling. Raggett's gone off two home games in a row at half time against Oxford, if I remember rightly, and then on about 60 yesterday. Yeah, it's tough. You never want to take the excuses and those kind of anything to justify why we're only drawing 2 1-1 games that we arguably should expect to take 6 points from. But when you've got the amount of injuries we have, you could make up a first team from the amount of injuries we've got. Yeah, it's tough.
I didn't think about it like that. You could probably feel the starting 11.
Yeah, you really could.
Yeah, you could. Sean, welcome. Thank you. Sean very diligently tried to get back for us last weekend, but he couldn't do so. So he's given us this weekend. I should say as well, by the way, thanks to everyone who joins us. Sad news for some, happy for others, among us on the panel, probably, myself included. We're not going to be here for the next couple of weeks. We're going to have a little bit of time off. Obviously, we've only got some cup games, and then it might even be, depending on what time Brendan and I get back from Morecambe in a couple of weeks, it might be a case of after the Derby game, we'll speak to you next. We thought we'd go all out and give you a full crew tonight. On 4-0 Sunday Lives. We've got plenty of discussion to come. Get your thoughts in the chat down below. We're going to start with Oxford. So if you want to give us your reflections on Oxford to begin with, then we'll get to those. Sean, it's lovely to see you. Thanks very much for sparing some time with us. You weren't very happy in the chat I would, if you wouldn't mind toning it down a little bit for the live, I'd appreciate it. But just briefly, your thoughts.
What, for the Oxford game, or for both, or just the general?
Start with the Oxford, and then we'll bring Jack into the conversation, and then we'll get going on our review.
I acknowledge the fact, like everyone has said, with the injuries that we've had and the players we're fielding out there. But it was only this time last year, people like Tunnicliffe were starters for us. And you kind of hope that we would be punching a bit better than we are. Tactically in Oxford, I just think they did a thing on us, straightforward as always in the midfield. They packed it quite nicely, controlled us, and we offered.
Like it.
Packed it. And we had nothing down the flanks. And, if you've got nothing going to the middle and nothing going through the flanks, then you're going to create nothing. And we were lucky to get that goal. And again, it was just basically the same old hoofball. We had no creativity, no sort of direction in the team. It was just basically very messy, very scrappy, and we played into Oxford's hands. And I was frustrated, as you could probably get in the chat. And then going into the game on Saturday, it was, to be honest, they started off really well. I think the Cowleys really sort of thought about what happened on Tuesday and tried to put something in there. And that the players were initially, they were, trying to keep the momentum up, trying to keep the tactics being given to them. But again, without, even Ogilvy got past halfway line without getting a nosebleed. So I thought that was pretty good. But it's strange when you see someone like Swanson, who is the one of the youngsters coming on and doing what he's doing on that right side, which just, that's what we need. We need the overlapping fullbacks. If we've got nothing in midfield, we need them coming forward.
That's it. It's taken us 13 and a half minutes to speak to everyone, but we've done it so far, apart from Jack, who joins in just a moment. But that's all good. It's good. I'm glad we're packed to the rafters tonight. That's a name that's going to follow us around, isn't it? I can already tell. Before we do speak to Jack and we get a bit of conversation going about Oxford, I'm seeing some of the comments coming in already. Let's have a look at something that was difficult for me to cobble together, which is probably a reflection on the last month or so. It's time to crown our goal of the month for October. It's time to choose your goal of the month for October, and here are the contenders. Josh Caroma's trademark finish against Fleetwood. Sean Raggett's header at Forest Green. Or Zach Swanson's stunning first senior goal. You can vote in the poll down below, and the results will be announced at the end of the show. To the 89 people and the rest of the panel joining me, I don't think there's going to be any arguments over who wins that one, but we'll have to see later on in the show. Jack, thanks so much for spending some time with us tonight, mate. I know you've had a busy weekend and I know you've got loads to do, so I really appreciate you dropping in for the third show in a row. How's that going?
Regular now.
Regular now. How did you see Tuesday night, mate? I got a text off you, which is weird because we normally communicate through Snapchat, so I don't normally get text from Jack. But it just read, "We were robbed." Would you like to expand?
There might have been a handball in there. I don't know. I don't know. No, look, all jokes aside, the first half, we were the better side. I'm pretty sure that's a pretty fair reflection. I thought the first half, we did look good. I thought we won the midfield battle. You've been speaking about Marlon Pack and the players that in that midfield weren't really able to get hold of the game. And Oxford, for the first time this season, I'd say, looked really, really strong in the first 45. Second half, it was a different game, unfortunately. The most annoying thing is it's probably down to Oxford United's disappointment with that red card. It's a silly thing to do, getting sent off in a game in which I'd say we were in control. I want to sort of, I'm fully aware I'm joined by pretty much most Pompey fans. Everyone here supports a fan, so I've got to be very careful what I say. But look, I think the second half, it was much more equal, but that red card played a massive part in the game. And there might have been a red card. I don't know. Not a red card. There was a red card. But a handball. I don't know.
Might have been a We've just seen it there. We had a spell of about 10 to 15 minutes where we had Oxford all out of shape and all over the place, Reece, and I'm sure you would have seen the game and watched back moments of it. At that point, we were playing with the desired aggression and overloading the box as much as we could, just wishing we could have finished the game off in those key moments. It feels like Saturday all over again, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a fair reflection to say that obviously the red card made a huge difference. I think Jack's right in saying that. First half, I did think it was going to be 2, maybe 3-0 at least. The way we were playing, there was just no desire to want to get the first goal of the game to start with. And when that goal went in from Joseph, I generally thought this is it now. We know what Oxford's like. We've played them many, many times over the years, and we know obviously they're a threat going forward. It does not matter what position in the table they are. To me personally, I generally knew going into the game that if Oxford's up for it, they're really going to be wanting to win this game, regardless of where they were on the table. But yes, the disappointing part was we got level. It was off the shoulder, by the way, Jack. I'm just letting you know it wasn't a handball. And I think everybody else would probably agree with me on that one. But generally saying, yes, Tom.
I'll tell you what, we'll have a little look while you're chatting. Keep chatting, Reese, and then it will come round in a minute. But this is that's a foul, Jack, all day long.
Nothing in that.
That's a foul. And a sending off.
That was such a silly thing to do on a yellow card. To go and make that challenge, it changes.
Here we go.
Game.
Right, Reese, talk us through it.
Go. So here we go. Look, his arm is out, but then top of his right shoulder kind of comes it around, because actually the shoulder itself has enough weight to push the ball in front of him. Whereas if it was the hand, it would go deliberately down onto the ground level rather than in front of him. Whereas it's gone in front of him, he's managed to control it and hit it straight away. So actually, it's a shoulder, not a hand. So there you go.
There you go. We'll speak to Barney in a moment, because he's clearly not impressed, and I don't think Gaz is either. The only thing I would say by the letter of the law, and I think Reese is absolutely right, if it takes that deflection, it makes it slightly less intentional, and therefore there is the argument for and I would imagine that's what the lino was saying to the ref. If it's taken a deflection, you cannot then deem it as an unnatural position, because Colby can't deem the flight of the ball in that brief moment. Go on then, Barney. You were shaking your head before we get to Sean, Recho, and Brennan and Mike on this, because Jack's already made his thoughts very clear, as he would, and that's why we like to have the balance here on Fournilwritten all over it. What did you think, and what was the shake of the head all about?
Shake of the head was the fact that Oxford were the better team. I think that whole game was not a good advertisement for League One football. I think it was a shocker from both sides. I think the Fat Scouser is a terrible manager. He creates bad football, and it's just you might as well call him Dark Arts FC. It's the one team, them and Wickham, I cannot stand them, because all their football is time wasting. Someone posted a picture of the same player down on the floor, number 8 for Oxford. He was down about 4 times. There was 10 individual occasions where the referee had to blow the whistle or pause play for Oxford players who didn't get substituted. That's not even counting the players that went down as they were about to be subbed. So just so much time wasted that it's like they were playing for 0-0. It's not football. Even Joey Barton had that famous quote when he was at Marseille, didn't he? About, if you're 1-0 down and you're down 10 men in France, they'll happily accept that 1-0. Why? If you're down to 10 men, what's the worst that can happen? Try harder. Just baffling football. So.
Thanks, Barney.
Sorry.
That's set the tone nicely. But that's why everyone loves a bit of 4-0 Sunday Live. Rob said, I love this show. Obviously, it's better when we win, but it makes my Sunday a day to look forward to. Thanks for that, Rob. And I should say, as we are the kings of impartiality, Oxford are not the only team that have come to Fratton Park and done that this season. And there are a couple of probably the third team to do it to an extent that is sort of noticeable and irritating. Right, Gaz, tell us your thoughts, mate. I know you're not a fan of time wasting either, but the football itself, how did you see the game?
It wasn't, like I say, Barney said, it wasn't a great advert for League One. But, you play with what you've got and you play what's in front of you. And at the end of the day, Oxford, on the whole, had their chances. We had our chances as well. I thought, I think his name, was it Finley or Finley at the back? Yeah. Him and Moore at the back, they were good. They were pretty solid for you on the day, I thought. And obviously, Colby didn't really have much really to do really up front, only other than that deflection. But yeah, at the moment, we're not getting our combinations right. We haven't got that solid midfield that we had. If we look back to our last win for Pompey at home, we had Rafferty, we had Pack, we had Lowry in the squad. Then since then we've started to pick up the injuries, and all of a sudden, we started to play players out of position and stuff like that. And obviously it's great for Zach now coming in to that position. That sort of holds that, that fills that gap now. But yeah, overall on Saturday we didn't really pick on that bounce back ability that we talk about normally. If you get a good draw, no, it's not a good draw, but a draw is better than a loss, shall we say? Because it's 2 points. But we were all expecting a 9-point week, and what did we get? We got 5, So it's points dropped, and now looking at the points, you've got to look at goal difference now as well, because even the goal difference now that could come part at the end of the season as well. And we're right down on goal difference because everyone's scoring goals for fun at the top. So we've got some work to do. And luckily, this 2-week break has come really at a really good time for us, I think. Really.
Brendan, might concern over Pompey actually starting to wake up just as soon as it's down to 10 men for Oxford and not 11?
Definitely. I must have said in my interview with you yesterday. Actually, it might have been cut out, I think, but yeah, I said it's a shame to watch. It's a shame to watch the game, and then the fans, even Fran Park was flat. It's unfortunate to say, and it's sad to see that we only sort of woke up and got the momentum back once Oxford went down to 10 men, and the goal Oxford scored. That is sort of like what I think. We've got the quality to try and score a goal like that. You put the ball up to Bishop, and then Bishop nod it down for Scarlett or whoever, Dale, whoever's around him. And whenever I've noticed yesterday, the ball's going in. Bishop will win his header or he'll win his chest, but there's no one within 10 yards of him. So the ball just bounces to a defender and they get it clear. So things like that need a change in the size.
Yeah, Oxford went down to 10 men for a reason, because he committed 2 fouls and got sent off. That's part of the game. Tough. You have to live with it. And your fans being upset with him, I think, yeah, be upset with him. Don't be upset. Oh, we lost the game. He didn't lose the game. We only drew the game. We could have gone on and won if he was on the pitch. I'll tell you what, your guys were never on the pitch. They were always lying down on it. They were terrible. And I think if we'd got back to the old days where we had a horse and cart on the side of the line, we could have picked half of them up and taken them down the knackers yard. They were terrible. How can you say that's football? Because it's not just your team. As quite rightly said, there's 3 teams that have come to our stadium. And why do Pompey supporters go flat? They get flat because the referees do nothing about this stupid time wasting. And then these people are not injured, going down every 2 minutes. I'm sorry, your Oxford team. I would never want to support a team like that.
Welcome to Fournilwritten all over it, everybody. The home of impassioned debate and discussion on a Sunday. But Mike, it's getting the people going in the chat. So we're all here for it.
Speaking facts, go on.
Speaking facts. Jack, I'm going to ask the gentlemen to very kindly refrain from chipping in if they can. You have the right of reply on this. How would you defend what's been going on at Oxford, and ignore the smiles and the sniggers if you can? Give us your view. How do you feel?
No, I think time wasting is part of the time wasting, whether you like it or not. We're not. By the way, I disagree. I disagree with the bad football. I think Oxford United played some of the best football in League One. Actually, so you look at the statistics, and people will laugh. The time wasted against Portsmouth, again, in recent years, you can't argue with it. But 2 of those have been playoff games as well. Let's remember that. And they're always going to be quite tight affairs. We played them in playoff semi-finals, and they're never going to be some of the best games of football. And these 2 sides as well, they're also... Again, there is a little bit of rivalry there, not in terms of the geographical sense, but in the sense they do play each other and they do provide sort of good games of football and battles. They don't provide great games of football in terms of, I wouldn't, it's not a great advert. I think that's a fair response. I wouldn't say that we play some of the worst football in League One. I think that's unfair. I think we play some of the best football, not this season, but we have done. We've been top of expected goals for the last 2 seasons. We scored the most goals in League One for the last 2 seasons, or certainly up there in the top 3, 100%. In terms of Carl Robinson and him being an awful manager, look, I've been very open about my thoughts on this show. This season, we haven't been getting results. It's a results-based business, and Carl Robinson is the manager, and ultimately it comes down to him. this season we haven't been good enough. And also how incredible, in a week that things can change. We pick up 4 points from 6 against Bolton away. And by the way, I doubt anyone else here's watched the game yesterday against Bolton Wanderers. I thought we were spectacular. We played really good football, and we went to one of the difficult grounds in League One, who have expectations to be in that top 6, and I think a batting with you. And we went there and won 3-1. So, and I haven't seen any tweets yet about time wasting in that game, but I'll be refreshing that as well. I don't think we've seen any tweets about time wasted. I wouldn't take it away from the fact that there was time wasting in that game against Portsmouth, but again, it's football. Wickham are 10 times worse, as an example. And when you try and go to a ground and you've got to get a result, and we're in a rut and let's try and get out of it, and you've got to almost play the dark arts, and we did that well.
I think you're more than entitled to do exactly what you've done, Jack. Much to the annoyance of us all on the panel, and I want to thank you for being such a great sport and providing the response on that, because it's not easy to come onto a Pompey stream and go and sit here and get hounded like that. But I do really appreciate you coming on, and I should say.
Tom, I'm not. I wasn't hounding it. What all I was saying is basically what everyone's been saying, and other people that are not on here wanted to say. But however, I will give him credit. He's come back with some decent answers and some decent stuff. And we have had some brilliant games against Oxford in the past, and we've had some great. But when they turn to tactics like that, and as I said, they're not the only team that goes to Fratton Park and plays stupid football like that, because it's not football, is it? I mean, it's not what we like as a football at Fratton Park. Well, I've never seen us do anything like that at all. Perhaps we have. Perhaps I've been asleep. I don't know, but I don't think we have.
That's I just don't think just in League One, though, because ultimately you look at the sides that they got out of League One. You have got to play. I think unfortunately the world we live in, and I'm not backing up whatsoever in the football world we live in. I think you have got to play with a bit of a nasty side, a bit that people don't like. You look at the sides that have.
I understand that.
I look at Rotherham. Yeah. These are sides, and look at Rotherham last season. I look at Wigan. These are sides that will go to these grounds, and they're going to give something a little bit different, and not going to play attractive stuff. And maybe that is the reason why yourself, Charlton, these sides as well, think that you can come down to League One, play some really, really sexy stuff, and get straight back up. Unfortunately, I think the football and now League One, I don't think it's as easy as that. I really, really don't. I think there's more to the game than that, and whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I don't think I like it. I think that's the thing.
I don't like it either, but I'm just saying that is, I think, a way that I think that unfortunately is an aspect that has to be taken into consideration to be a success and get out of League One.
I feel like
you're right. You are spot on. You are spot on with that.
I feel like I was David Jones sat between Roy Keane and Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher at one point there. But that was great. And I should say, Mike, I'm only trying to hold a balanced debate, as we always try to here on Fournilwrittenalloverit. And also, we went to Portman Road and did exactly the same that Oxford did this time last season. So we have seen Pompey do it, and I've seen Danny Cowley sides do it. It doesn't happen very much, but in the big ones and to other teams, we know that Fratton Park is the big one. So
Mike never saw it last year; he was asleep.
No, I didn't. I know I didn't.
But
anyway,
we're blaming the teams, but actually, it's not really the teams; it's the poor refereeing. At the end of the day, if the referees,
the referees are repeating about it. Yeah.
The referees could stop it, stamp it out. They could control the game. They could yellow card these players, send them off, and it would change it dramatically. But there seems to be a revolution.
Yeah, I did allude to that, Sean. I did allude to the fact that we have had some really bad referees. In fact, I think we only had one that's almost good one all season at Fratton Park. But yeah, it's referees. They need to get a grip.
Because effectively it is simulation, isn't it? You're not diving to the floor, but you're feigning injury. So effectively it is simulation.
Yeah, all to do is get them off the pitch. Let the medical people do it off the pitch and just play on.
Excellent.
Yeah,
right,
and as we said, it's not. It's sorry.
That's all right, Brendan. Finish what you're going to say. Go for it.
I think we're not just picking on you, Jack, because it's Oxford. Because it is the one game also we're talking about in particular. Fleetwood did it. Lincoln did it. Wickham have done it in the past for every time we play Wickham. So it isn't. We're not just picking on you. Maybe it's just us venting our frustration over maybe the result yesterday, because even those mugs yesterday were doing it as well.
But to be fair,
sorry.
So just to say, be fair, Brendan, we had 68% possession of that game, and we still couldn't score. Properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Until they had 10 men. So I don't think it's Oxford's fault. I think really, look at our team.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Gentlemen, we've massively overrun on what I wanted to do for Oxford tonight.
Sorry.
That's okay, no problem at all. The chat have been absolutely loving it though, so we're all having fun. And Trophy said, I subscribe to the Young Fan podcast, by the way, like his opinion, even as a Pompey fan. So there you go. But Jack, thank you very much for that, and
No worries,
Mike,
guys.
thank you as well. And we love the debate. That's why we're all football fans, and that's why we love the game so much. And I'm sure this will rage on, and we look forward to heading up to the Kassam later on in the season. Jack, just before you go, I wanted to. I know you're speaking a lot about Oxford, and we've thrown you in the firing line to defend your team on a Pompey channel. What did you think of us on Tuesday night, and how do you feel like? I know you watched a lot of Pompey, and I relay to you a lot of what happens. But how do you feel about us in the moment? Obviously, a little bit of a dip, but what do you reckon season wide?
I think, yeah, there has been a dip in form. I compare the way you play at the moment to how you were at the start of the season. I think the one word that's going to come back is going to be injuries. And you mentioned it already today that you are a side that has been heavily influenced by the fact that you're missing some really, really key players in some key positions. I look at, you said earlier about fielding a side of players full of injuries. That's absolutely spot on. I agree. Whether or not it would game a footballing league, well, it might do, because the type of quality that you've got out injured is a big problem. Look, I think when those players do come back, and when you do get a bit of that consistent 4-4-2 with the players in that system, because I think the 4-4-2 is going to work based on personnel. Danny Cowley's made a bit of a decision, hasn't he? He's gone, right, we're going to stay with the system, even with some key players not being in there, with the likes of Lowry, the likes of Pack, and these people and these players not in that 11. We're going to stick with the system. He could have maybe gone with a 4-3-3 and committed a few more bodies in that midfield three because sometimes I think someone like Marlon Pack, he can probably do it as a 2 fairly comfortably. Well, you haven't got him. You've only then got 2. Is he got the quality, or when you haven't got him, have you got the quality to play with one less midfielder? When a lot of sides do play with a 3 in there, so he's made the decision to stay with that system, even with a lot of personnel missing. I think, look, it has been a little bit of an issue in recent weeks. I think those drawing games of football at home is one of those where you do look back. You tend to look back at the end of the season and go, if only we just got and taken that chance against Shrewsbury, against Lincoln. And the other side that you've drawn to. But no, I think you've got a little bit of a break now. You've got the FA Cup, and you can recharge a few batteries, hopefully get a few players back, and use that weekend and use these next couple of weeks a bit of an opportunity to really recharge and then go again, because there is an opportunity there to get some key players back that for sure are missing and are affecting your season massively. So I wish you good luck, and obviously there's always a bit of a debate, and I enjoy it. And yeah, I wish you the best, because I do like Portsmouth, and I think I think if they're not in a great place at the moment, but I think you've got all the attributes to be there.
Where can we find your stuff, Jack? And what's coming out tonight?
We've got the roundup tonight, and that should be out pretty much as soon as I leave the studio here. So yeah, hopefully between now and about 8 o'clock, we've got the roundup. Got 5 games, and obviously Portsmouth and Shrewsbury. That game will be included, and I say lovely things about Pompey in that one.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Thanks for your company, Jack. We'll see you soon.
No worries, guys. Thank you so much.
Take care, buddy. See you later.
Have a good show. Have a good show. Take care.
Take care.
Papa John's Paintball action returns to Fratton on Tuesday. Next Friday, we're off to Hereford for our first foray into the FA Cup this season. Then myself and Brendan will bring you the best of our trip to Morecambe the following weekend. Fratton Park hosts some Friday night football on November the 18th. As Paul Warren's Derby County make the long journey down. Then it's back-to-back away games to kick off Pompey's December. Wycombe Wanderers is a lunchtime kick-off at Adams Park on December the 4th. Gaz and I will then bring you along for a weekend away in Accrington, followed by a final home game before Christmas against struggling MK Dons. Then a 7-hour round trip on Boxing Day for our visit to Devon, specifically St James's Park, the home of Exeter City. Right, and breathe, everybody. Welcome along to everyone who joins us live across YouTube and Facebook. There's 101 people who join us across all platforms this evening, so welcome along to you. Jack said, likeable lad, a big respect to him. Pepe's just joined us. Pepe, you missed the main event, mate. It was good fun. And there's a comment from Joe that says 4-4-2 doesn't work, and that's something that we'll get to very shortly. Jack mentioned personnel, but I'm wondering whether it might be something a little bit deeper than that. Right, let's cast our minds back to yesterday then. Reese, it was I was on a high because I'd seen you before the game, but unfortunately I was very quickly brought back down to earth with what was probably the worst goal I've seen us concede at Fratton Park in, since League Two, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it's a fair reflection to say where I was sat behind in the Fratton end. I never actually looked into it until I saw replays, but I did see the replay with Koroma. I don't know if anybody else saw that as well. It's when, Winchester hit the post, of course, and the natural reaction should be to want to pounce on the bounce, get the ball as soon as quickly. But you just see Koroma literally on his knees as if to say, oh, it's already gone in, don't worry about it. Left his man completely unopened on his own, Bennett, and it goes in. And I think the way in which everybody just stood there and didn't react to it, regardless, everybody knows in football that you need to just be responsive the whole time the ball's in play. And until that ball's hit that back of the net, you need to be completely aware of where the ball is. And that is the problem that happened. It hit the post, went straight to him. And by that time, everybody was behind the ball when he sent Griffiths the wrong way. And I think that was just, I would use the word embarrassing purely because nobody just wanted to get back. That was it. They just thought, oh, it's in, don't worry about it. Winchester scored already. And that's not the approach you should be having, especially if you want to represent Portsmouth.
What did you think, Sean?
I totally agree. I think there's an elephant in the room that the wheels came off at Charlton, and I think since then, we've got injuries, yes, but when teams aren't playing well, a lot more players get injured, and it's a lot easier to hide on the sidelines than it is to be on the pitch.
Oh, lovely, nice and brief. Sorry, I was expecting you to be we'll come back round the. I appreciate that because we have got loads to get through. So
I can carry on if you want.
I'm sure you will be carrying on later on. I was quite pleased with Josh Griffiths, Gaz, actually. Although there's been a couple of arguments I've seen in the chat already there, but a bit of ball watching on that goal that Reece and Sean had just been talking about. Don't know whether he's completely to blame, but all round, much quicker, tidy with the ball. I thought he had a good game.
Yeah, I mean, you could say he was watching the ball, but there was also 9 other defenders. There was 9 other players, plus the goalkeeper in the box. 10 players of our team were in that box, and they got a free man scoring a goal. You can see whether there's a problem. I think there was only Bishop outside the box. Everyone else was inside the box. So yeah, it was a silly goal to concede. But yeah, it was just one of them days, wasn't it? We could have gone on. I don't know how long to score a goal. I don't think we can go forward at the moment as we're doing at the moment and try and expect to score goals. It's just one of them, a situation that we're in at the moment, unfortunately.
It's tough, isn't it? Johnny said, think the stats are worth a look from yesterday. Johnny, your wish is my command. Here we go. Gaz, you looking at those, I mean, all day long that screams a home win to me, and it just wasn't the case, was it? And we're going to delve into exactly why. But 16 shots, 6 off target, 3 on target, over 500 passes, 75% of the ball, 1 expected goal. What's going on? Yeah, I mean, Danny's obviously scratching his head as well. He's obviously putting players out there at the moment, and he's thinking, he's put these players out there. They produce stats like that. You would expect, a lot more chances. But I didn't see, the game that I saw yesterday. I didn't see that many clear-cut chances where we should be just scoring goals. A lot of it was sideways football. A lot of these passes and stuff like that, sideways passes and back to Raggett, back to Griffiths. They count as passes, but doesn't mean you're going to go up forward and score goals. Possession. Okay, yeah, maybe we set back a bit. We didn't push on as much as we should have done. But yeah, sometimes stats lie, sometimes they don't. But it is in front of us, so that's what we go by. Yeah, Gaz is spot on. I mean, you can't always look at the numbers, Barney, and we tend to try not to focus all our chat on them. But you're looking at the stats there. What are your reflections? How do you feel about them?
Yeah, we spotted those exact stats as we were walking out of the ground, me and Mike. We couldn't believe that we had so much possession and just seemed to have zero threat from it. There was a couple of headers Colby had, 1 in each half. There was one literally just before they scored that I thought he could have done better. It's not come to him with much pace on it, so it's going to be hard for him to direct it and get it in a position that the keeper's not going to be able to reach. But he's almost fluffed his header, and a striker of his quality, I kind of expect better. And he did the same in the second half as well. He had a chance then to put us in the lead. I just think our left-hand side's just evaporated. Ogilvy started the season and everyone was singing his praises. I remember at Newport with you, and everyone was going Ogilvy, V, and now haven't heard that chant for weeks. Curtis is having one of his spells, bless him. Like I love Curtis, I think he's awesome, but obviously he's vanished. I think he's got a knock at the moment as well, anyway. But then Chroma, don't get me started on him.
Well, let's get Brendan and Mike started on Chroma then, in that case, and I'm sure we'll come back to you on that, Varney. I had it written down, and it was in note form, so bear with me. I wrote down Chroma offers 0. Now, that might be, some might argue that that's not the case, and that actually he's scored a couple of really decent goals for us already, Brendan. But yesterday, in particular, I mean, you're looking at him and you're thinking, what's going on for the first goal? You're also looking creative-wise, where was it? And actually, I know he's got a knock, but why was a switch for Curtis not made?
Yeah, big questions there. We were screaming out, saying, why are we taking Swanson off? I know we had a tight groin, but at the same time, Chroma, as you say, Chroma wasn't offering much in that game at all. Look, I think Chroma is definitely one of our flair players. I think I mentioned it on Express. There's a plug there. Friday nights with Jake Smith at 7:00.
And Monday nights.
I said he's one of our flair players, and sometimes your flair players are better when they come off the bench because they've got something to prove and they want to prove themselves to get back in the side. Look, I know we heard Rico Hackett had a virus, and that's why he unfortunately didn't make the squad. Otherwise, I think he'd be starting because I think Rico gets battered a lot, and I think he's definitely one of our players who deserves to be given a bit more of a shout out and not be criticised as much. But back onto Chroma, he's just struggling to deliver for us. Yes, he scores those 2 wonder goals that we've had from him, but I don't want to talk our players down, but he's lacking a killer instinct and a lack of impetus going forwards for us at the moment and creativity.
Yeah, the last couple of games have not been well. Obviously, the Tuesday night and yesterday, I was not impressed with Chroma at all. Really, kept going into the middle of the pitch with the ball when he had it. Hardly ever went down the outside of it, and then turned back up and then fed somebody else in or whatever. We talked about it earlier that we think he should have been taken off on the hour, and if he was going to start, and put Hume on. Give Hume. We know Hume likes to get forward. Put him left up that far up in front of Ogilvy. Let's give him a try up there. Swanson came on the last 3 games, isn't it? He's played now, and he's been brilliant. I mean, I don't think anybody would have foreseen how good him and obviously Mingy as well have played since coming into the team. But back to Chroma, he is a flair player, and I agree with Brendan that we should put him on as a super sub or whatever like that. And I said it the other day as well. Why don't we switch those wingers? Let's switch them to the right side of the pitch with their foot rather than having them cutting in all the time. Let's mix it. If it's not working after 15, 20 minutes with the people on the wings on their unright sides, shall I say, because they've got a right foot, so they play on the left, and left foot because they're on the. Switch them round, see how it goes. 15 minutes, giving it a try, and then switch back again. We had 547 accurate passes yesterday. Okay, 308 of them were in our own half, but 239 were in their half. Now we had all those touches inside their half, and we still didn't get another goal. I just don't believe it. It's weird.
Yeah, if Retro turns round, he'll see the name of probably the only player that comes out of yesterday with an awful lot of credit. Oh, is he not on that one? No, he's not. He is. He's there. There he is. There's the man.
Yeah. But the only reason he came out with any credit is because he had Swanson behind him coming up and providing an overlap and providing an opportunity to get forward. Now, Curtis and Chroma are both the same player. They need a fullback who can overlap and pass it down, because otherwise they cut inside on their right foot. It's all the tricks they've got. And without a fullback that gets forward, you'll do the same for both players. And Ogilvy, for some reason, start the season he was, but now, yesterday he got forward a couple of times, but most of the time he's staying in his own half, passing the ball sideways, and we're losing that creativity down the flank.
conversation from the panel tonight is sparking a lot of conversation in the chat as well, which is good to see. Mikey said, doesn't matter who's up front if the service is rubbish. Completely agree. Joe said, Koroma doesn't know how to play left wing. Dan said, Koroma's instinct is to cut inside and go for goal, not to provide service. Curtis has to come inside because he doesn't have a left foot. Dylan said that's... Dylan said that's facts. Mike Dale works so well on the right hand side as a right-footed player. And someone else I wanted to chat a little bit about with you guys, if I may. Where's the comment gone? I did see it, but then it's completely disappeared. It was regarding a certain Mr. Dane Scarlett, and it's completely disappeared. But I actually think he had. Well, I know he got man of the match, and Fratton Park went when it got announced over the tannoy. I actually thought he had one of our best games in which he hasn't scored for Pompey in a Pompey shirt so far. What did you make of his performance?
Well, he's doing a lot of running around, isn't he? He's trying to get that first line defence. That sort of going up front, because obviously they were coming forward quite a lot, Oxford, and he's trying to run his socks off at the moment. Unfortunately for him, at the moment, he's a goal scorer. And at the moment, the balls aren't coming into him as often as what we thought they were at the beginning of the season. Because obviously the team's now disjointed. It's not Danny's first 11, because even Danny's body language, these last few interviews, there's something going on behind the scenes. Probably we don't know about with these injuries and maybe some misinformation from the doctors or something. There could be something happening. I don't know, but he's not looking happy. And I said that in the chat, that an unhappy manager, it's difficult to get the boys up for a game if you're not feeling it yourself. So I personally, there might be something there. I could be totally wrong, But yeah, not everyone had a great game yesterday, but a few people did come out of that game quite well. Swanson, I would have given man of the match purely because of the occasion. He's getting his first goal and he's cemented in place on that right side now, He's got some, 7.8. That's a great, as a young kid coming into, EFL, scoring a goal like that. It was, it's just a dream come true for him, really, isn't it? So, onwards and upwards for him. Him and Dale on that side, for me, is a good partnership. Obviously, Rafferty was doing really well at the beginning of the season. Like Sean said, Ogilvy isn't, for some reason, he's hitting a wall at halfway, and he just doesn't seem to be able to get round it or go over it. It's like, that's enough for me. I'll come back a little bit more, Unfortunately, that midfield, Tunnicliffe, again, 7.1, a better game from him this yesterday than he's had in a while. He had a good half against the Scummers. They had a bad second half in that game as well. So he needs a good 90 minutes. But again, these guys aren't match ready, really, are they? Because even Tunnicliffe come off with a little bit of a problem. Then you got Swanson, possible groin, because these guys are running around because they're not first team footballers, are they? As in what Danny had it planned, But fair play to Tunnicliffe, fair play to Mingy, and fair play to Swanson. They've sat on the sideline and they've come in, and we haven't lost at home. I don't know where all the doom and gloom is on social media. At the end of the day, we're still unbeaten at Fratton Park. We're in there, we're in there. Yeah, that's a different chat. That is, I just,
I'm wearing black for a reason.
Yeah, there's positives to look forward to. And now we have this break. We know that we have players on the injury list that will come back. They'll be like brand new signings, when they come back. So let's get this positivity going again. Too much doom and gloom around the world. Never mind our own football.
That's it. Yeah, you've heard of a cost of living crisis, and we're all panicking about an injury crisis, aren't we? So which one of the two would you rather have? I think I'd rather have an injury crisis. Gaz is spot on with
war going on.
What you said exactly. There's a war going on, and we've more injuries than prime ministers this week, and all that kind of thing. So it's there's a lot going on, and we've got Pompey, and we've got Fournilwrittenalloverit all over it. We've got Fournil Sunday Live to take our minds away from it, and hope everyone's enjoying the show as much as we've been doing this evening. If you want to, and there's a lot of approval of what Gaz has been saying there as well, and I wanted to build on a couple of points of view, if I may, Reese, with what Gaz has just been saying. I think the thing with, and I think here goes the we were in Spain alert again. But when we were out in Spain, Gaz, we were saying it, weren't we? That we Danny really evokes the team, and what Danny feels reflects on the football club. And if Danny's not happy, the players aren't happy, the fans aren't happy, etc. Rolls and rolls. I think the news about Rafferty was playing on his mind. He obviously knew that before the game because it was revealed as a kind of a scheduled post on social media, and he came out and spoke about it post-match. So whether that was a kind of a Friday afternoon thing that he found out, I don't know when the news was on that. But there was a great comment, Reese, on the video from yesterday from Dan Richardson, who I praise an awful lot, but he does say some sensible stuff, and he's been contributing to the chat tonight. He mentioned how, take Charlton as an example, they've scored 5-3 against us, 4 against Ipswich in the last week or so. You know, we wrote them off before. We didn't write them off, but we thought before we went there, they'd had a bit of a bad patch and, you know, hadn't won away for a long time, etc., etc. And then you look at some of the results that other teams are picking up. You know, Oxford getting a win. Jack was mentioning it at Bolton. It's a challenging league, isn't it? There's a lot of competition in this division. And for us to sit here and go, and my dad was saying it to me earlier on, oh, we should be beating Oxford and Shrewsbury at Fratton Park. 12 months ago, would have lost both those games.
I think, yeah, it's a fair reflection to obviously have, especially when we discussed before about, say, Fleetwood and games like that. You know, some people are very understanding of how well Fleetwood can actually play. Not the football itself, I might just make that clear. But the results that they have this season is a clear indication that, I know everybody discusses about League One's very open with teams. You know, anybody can beat anybody, but it is very, very true. If you look at a reflection of the league and you see some of the performances, that's why the Forest Green result itself, to me, is probably one of the most important of the season, purely because it started to get us consistently another 3 points again and get us back with confidence. However, on reflection after that, you think, right, we're going to go on now, we're going to play a struggling Oxford side and we're going to play a Shrewsbury side that we should be beating on paper. It doesn't work like that. Results are clearly shown that as well. That's why we all come away from grounds every Saturday or every Tuesday night, whatever the game's day it is, and we go, oh, look at that score. I can't believe they've just beaten such and such. It's a true reflection on the league. It doesn't matter if it's League One, League Two, or Championship. It's football, and we can't take any team for granted. I think everybody knows that deep down. It's just some people like to sugarcoat it sometimes and forget about the pride sometimes.
Barney, talk to us about a young man that Gaz has already alluded to, Zach Swanson, getting his first senior goal, and we're going to take a look at it here. Talk me through it and talk me through about how impressed you've been with him.
Yeah, I think I was one of the people that was calling for him to come into the team in the league. His performances in the EFL Trophy, he played in the Southampton game as well, didn't he? I want to say he's been decent. He's earned his opportunity. At Cardiff as well, I'm sure he was fantastic. I'm sure as we walked out of there, I said it was him and Mingy that needed to get in the team, and I'm glad to see they are. Yeah, what a goal to be scoring that with his wrong foot as well is what a first professional goal to score.
You timed that absolutely perfectly, Barney. Thank you for that. Just as we were coming back to the studio, that was fantastic. Sean, I wonder how you feel about maybe an improvement on Tuesday, a mild improvement, as it were, and perhaps that this team is starting maybe. Oh, hello. Sorry, we might have to come back to you. A certain friend's and as that happens, Brendan and Mike have left the studio, so that tells you everything you want to know. I think he's come back in again, so there we go. But before we speak to Sean about the improvement, I wonder what your reflections were on the week we've had. A 5 out of 9 rather than a 9 out of 9.
I said it all yesterday, I think, Tom.
You did, yeah.
I want to say hello to everyone.
I cut most of it out, but you can say hello to everyone.
Michael, good day yesterday, mate. Well done. Really proud of you. That was excellent.
Thank you, Andrew.
Little Reese, good to see you again, my son.
Always a pleasure to see you, Andrew. Always.
Twice on the weekend, mate.
I know. It makes a change, doesn't it? I go 1 year without seeing you, and I'll see you twice in 2 days.
Are you stalking me? I think you might.
I am, actually, to be fair. That's the reason I'm on here. I just wanted to wait for you to turn up behind Tom, if I'm honest.
Good, man. And there he is, the Malteser. Good evening, son.
All right, Andrew.
No,
all good. So you got that machine that I told you to get, yeah?
Yes, mate. I did. I bought it.
It's good, isn't it?
It's a Remington.
I've still got a few more years yet, but I'll get your review on it.
Yeah, but you remember what you told me what you shaved with yours, though?
Yeah.
Not on TV, bud. Not on this channel, please.
Demonetization, stop there.
I know. But...
And there he is, retro shirt. Sean, the commander. How are you, son?
Very well, very well.
Long time no see, mate.
Indeed. Need the road trip.
Yeah, we do for sure.
I missed the charging stations.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, mate. What about fancy Hereford?
No. Well, you didn't. You told me that.
I don't fancy Hereford too much.
Someone who is coming to Hereford.
Barnes is going to Hereford, aren't you, mate?
I am looking forward to it. Another new ground to tick off. Hopefully, we avoid the infamous Hereford Cup set. Yeah, I'm sure we'll discuss that more.
Yeah, they've been damaging over the years to certain teams, aren't they? But
yeah,
it was. Chaps, I'm going to leave you carry on with Sean. Well, I'm going to sit in the background and listen, but I don't want to interfere too much. I can see you've got it all going on there.
Will it interfere a little bit? Because I'd like to hear what you thought of yesterday. Because I cut most of what you put out.
Did you? I tell you what I think, Tom. I think we're getting a little bit too excited about a couple of dodgy games when we've got 10 injuries, haven't we? Look at Jurgen Klopp yesterday. I mean, look at Leicester, what they're up to at the minute. Teams like that. So everyone has a dodgy patch, don't they? Jurgen Klopp's not a bad manager, is he?
No. Don't like him very much, but he's not a bad manager.
He's home in the German, isn't he? But he's not a bad manager, and he's having a tough time. Yeah, we've got a defeated squad, and I think we're doing relatively. We could have won that game yesterday. Watch your highlights back; it looks a lot better than it did on the day, actually, doesn't it? When you look back at the highlights, I don't know if anyone.
All that crap.
It did look a lot better, didn't it, on the highlights? You look, this. I mean, we got to be so unlucky not to score.
This is Scarlett scores that goal against Peterborough, didn't he? For example.
Yeah.
So
there were so many chances that we look at that header. That goes to the top corner. That's this game. Look at that. If that goes in, it's a different game, isn't it?
I think also what they would
be happy then, wouldn't we?
What they were saying after the game, and so I think some of the players came out and said it, but actually we weren't actually that far off it. And I think those key moments turn a rubbish draw into a decent win at Fratton Park, don't they?
Yeah, I agree.
Just quickly before we start talking about it officially on the show, are you bothered about cups, really?
No, get out of it. Lose to Hereford 1-0, 90th minute.
Oh yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Long clip, isn't it?
Put that on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, great. Lovely. We don't worry about the cup. Genuinely not worried. I know Papa John's a little bit.
Get past Hereford and get like Man United away or something, so we can all have a good old night out.
You got to get past a few more for that to happen.
Yeah. What's next after that?
I think it's the third or fourth round, something like that. For
third round, they come in.
January. You have to play small clubs like Ipswich before you get to kind of third and fourth round.
That would be a good one. Ipswich away in the cup, wouldn't it?
We remember that season when we beat them 3 times. Anyway, we digress. Let's crack on. Lovely to have you.
Yeah, I'll watch in here for a minute.
You can watch there, no problem at all. Sean, before we were not interrupted. It was a pleasure to have him, and he managed to introduce himself. And Mikey says you're the voice of reason. Mikey, don't start him off, mate, please. And then he's gone loose to Hereford, so I think he regretted putting that straight away. Sean, I wanted to just one final word on kind of Fratton Park as a whole that will address the title of the stream tonight. Too many draws, not enough wins, particularly at Fratton Park. 4 draws on the trot, 1 win in 7, and that's a narrow one against Forest Green. Concerning.
Very. We've got too many underperforming players, as we know. I think, Danny obviously knows what he wants from the team, but I do think that he potentially went out with the wrong formation against Oxford. We need to be dominating these games and be more incisive in the midfield. And, I'd have thrown another body in there, even playing someone out of position, a third midfielder, centre midfielder. Because we have got the wingers, we have got the forwards who will score the goals. We could have gone at 3 at the back, then Ogilvy could have stayed in his own half quite happily and have been better. I just think that, we need to think about these teams. And if we're going to play scrappy, grind them down in the middle of the park and then just pick them off with the players up front, which we've got. It just seems to be the wrong formation with the wrong players. They said Swanson and Dale came out of it looking good, but the rest of the team looked really dejected and weren't offering much. And Tunnicliffe, this time last year, was a good player. I think quite Gaz's right. He's probably off the pace a bit. Some of them are. So give them more bodies around them to help them out. And I think going forward, we could be a lot better. And, my fear is that the season's slipping away. I still think we're 8 goals short on my spreadsheet for getting into the playoffs. And if Curtis doesn't get into double figures, we ain't going to make it.
Well, there you go. Lovely positive energy coming from Retro Shirt Sean this evening, but I think there's a lot of realism in there as well. So I think someone we've spoken about a lot already tonight, and it's Danny Cowley, and we're going to hear what he was talking about just briefly, a little bit of a snippet that I noticed as we were prepping for the show tonight. And I hope the boys are okay to hang on for a little while, because we've got Hereford and Morecambe to chat about as well, which I'd like to get through. And obviously Barney's coming to that one, and Brennan will be making the trip with me to Morecambe, and obviously we'll speak to Gaz before our big old trip to Accrington Stanley, mate. Can you quite believe it? I don't know what we're doing, but there we go. Let's have a little listen back. You can hear the frustration in his voice, but I think this is an important conversation starter, and then we'll have a little chat about this. Have a listen.
Yeah, that second half, there was constant possession and territory without being able to create those openings you would have wanted.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they played 5-4-1, just sat 11 people behind the ball, which is absolutely their prerogative. Surprising me because they've got good players, really good players at this level. But yeah, for them, we understand that sometimes teams will come and do that, and we have to be good enough to break them down. And ultimately, even though we did a lot of good things, we weren't able just to find a little bit of quality.
I'm really glad he recognises that, Reece, and I think it's something that we were kind of crying out for, wasn't it? You're looking at those 10 men behind the ball, and although you've got kind of the way that Danny likes to split it with you 4 behind the ball and then 6 in front of the ball, there was absolutely zero way through, and he recognises that, but it's all about finding those solutions, and we haven't done in this week at Fratton Park.
Yeah, I think there's not much more you can really reflect on it other than listen to the manager. He's the man in charge of it all. And if he actually has the same feelings as the fans sometimes, you know full well there's something missing. Let's put it that way. He's the professional. We all have our opinions. That's why we reflect on it on chats like this, obviously. And sometimes, yes, we do disagree with the manager and how the game's been approached or how the game's been played in general and how things are planned out. But I think he's spot on with exactly how I was feeling after all. And I think a lot of other Pompey fans feel the same.
Barney, what do you reckon about these teams that are coming to frustrate? And we had the conversation about Oxford setting up for whatever they wanted to set up for. And I think Shrewsbury did it with less time spent on the deck, but got the same result, didn't they? So, and the fact that Danny can see it is what Reece was saying, that he feels exactly. And he also said, I think it's important that we say that when he also said that he understands the frustration because we're Portsmouth, and he gets that as well. And that was something that Reece was saying outside Fratton Park. And to be fair to Danny, that when they don't give up pockets of space or don't come out, there's no counter attacks. You don't get the overloads, and ultimately you don't get the goals.
Yeah, I think I was agreeing with what. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. Gentleman
Reece
above me,
little Riggs.
We should have changed the formation. It was quite clear it wasn't working against Shrewsbury. I think you could have left Ogilvie on and made it maybe 3 centre backs, so that you could then have wing backs that join in with an attack. They come more central, perhaps. You know, you can. Danny's quite good at having a fluid formation that's not necessarily rigid the whole game, and it seems that the last couple of games he's forgotten that. Perhaps maybe he's felt those players weren't able to do that in that position. But yeah, to go back to your question, we've got so many teams that come down to us and they play to not lose, but maybe not even to win either. They're just happy to take a point. And if we went to Ipswich and got a point, we'd be happy. If we went to Charlton and got a point, we'd be happy. If we're winning at home, especially. You know, we think of us as a big team in League One, right? But I'm sure Ipswich think the same, and Charlton and Bolton, all those other teams who, like us, within the last 10, 15 years have experienced the Premiership. So we're not as big a fish as we always think we are. We've got to be realistic about the teams we're playing against. They're all going to be playing and fighting the same game.
But yeah, spot on. Gaz was we've obviously, you know, we've met Danny on a couple of occasions, and we've had him on the channel at length for half an hour, sat in his office. So I think we kind of, although we try and keep ourselves as kind of less blue tinted glasses as we possibly can, I know that everyone on here is absolutely backing Danny to the hilt, and I don't know why shouldn't be brought into disrepute at this stage of the season. I think the earliest you would want to look at that kind of thing would be the result that he provides the football club at the end of this season would be my trail of thought. Retro saying no, but there we go.
No. As in, I think he's the man for the club. I just think it may not be this season. It may be next. Yeah.
As in the earliest you would ever look at something like that, if you know whatever. But I mean,
I think he's just unlucky at the moment. I mean, from where we are, from the squad, as in the personnel, what we had from last year to this year, he's transformed the squad. You know, fans started coming back, and fans were getting excited. the owners were doing this at this club, and everything was great. Now we've had a little bit of a blip, and all of a sudden, everyone's like the Titanic. It's sinking. We're jumping off. We're going this way. We're going that way. You know, people just need to realise, that Danny gets the club. He gets the fans. He's just been unlucky recently, with injuries. You know, that's the way I see it. You know, I'm seeing it, as an outsider looking in. You know, if we had his first 11 going out there, I'm pretty sure we would. I know it's all hearsay and all, shoulda, woulda, could have. But yeah, we could have had a better result against Oxford. We could have had a really good result against Shrewsbury. Yeah. So where we are where we are, but we're not out of it. We're still in the playoffs. You know, we've got to, realistically, I would take this at the beginning of the season, realistically, right now. You know, let's look at Christmas as the next milestone, and then go from there.
Can I jump in with you? Can you imagine? Sorry, like you've said, then we've had so many injuries. Imagine a training session where, if you're Danny again, going back to his fluid formations, you want to be able to have like an 11 versus 11 where you can say to them, you can say to one team, look, we're going to change this in the middle of the game. Now, normally you'd have maybe your first 11 and your second 11 doing that. At the moment, that second 11 is probably mostly academy kids because there's so many first teamers out injured. So you can't have that level of tough competition during training. So when they then, if they're training against 17, 18-year-olds having a day off from school, versus then the weekend they're having to fight against tough Oxford and Shrewsbury teams, it's not the same level. It's a different strength they've got to them fight against on the weekend.
Stick around for Hereford, everybody. Barney's going to be providing more of that opinion on the video. So if you like what you hear, then you'll be around for that. Brett, I was going to come to you anyway, Brendan, but I wanted to throw this one at you as well. And I know, the most respect to both Mike and Andrew and the older chaps on the stream, that you've seen a lot of Pompey managers come and go. Sean's right, isn't he? Danny's the man for the club.
100%. Yeah, I'll back Danny all the way, because we've seen it through his mythology. You can see the videos on YouTube he did whilst he was sort of like out of a job, the way that he sets teams up, and he's a smart man. And Dad will say this, he's been at the training ground and he's seen Danny's systems and how he sets up players' recoveries and how they score players and their performances. He's not a mug. I said it about Cottrell yesterday, but Danny knows exactly what he's going to do. And the thing is, we just need to get on side with it. And I said the same about Kenny Jackett, in the sense of he ain't going anywhere. He's in the job for a while now, and you can moan all you want online. Danny's not getting sacked at Christmas. And a bit more on what Gaz was saying about the squad this year compared to last year. Look, last year we played Bolton and we beat them 1-0. And I remember Tunnicliffe went off with a hamstring injury. And when Tunnicliffe got injured, we all thought, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Tunnicliffe's gone. And so how much the squad developed since then, it's only got better, isn't it? In all honesty, look, this time last year, where were we in the table? We must have been, in the bottom half, weren't we? We weren't at the top this time last year. And night and day, complete night and day. And Danny's the man for the job, and he's going to do something, if not this year, next year. Last year, we missed out on the playoffs by 4 or 5 points when we weren't far off it effectively. But if we don't do it this year, I think that the building blocks are in brick by brick. I reckon if it's not this year, it's next year is going to be a strong year. But every year is going to be a tough year, and we need to do it in the day.
Yeah, Danny's the man for us. When you've seen some of the, as you say, us older guys have seen some really goddamn awful managers that we've had.
Terry Fenwick.
Yeah, and one's Richie Barker and all that. Yeah, and they don't talk to the fans. They don't talk to the press in the way that we want them to. Now, Danny's been a breath of fresh air totally since he's come in after Kenny Jackett. I know you've got to compare the two, the chalk and cheese, as far as giving themselves over to the fans and giving them their thoughts and how they like to set things up and all of it. No, Danny and Nicky and the Eisners have said in theirs, I don't know if you listened to Andrew Moon's interview with the Eisners, I mean, they're here for the long term, and they're here for the long term with Danny. And I think Andrew Cullen, as well as the CEO, we've got a great team at our club. It's not just the team; it's the team of people that are supporting the team, and it's getting better and it's getting better. And we'll find out in due course what the new guy Richard Hughes is all about. But yeah, if we're building these sort of relationships with these people in the team, with basically, I wouldn't say obviously Danny's not head and nor head of this team, but they're all big integral parts that need to communicate, and they are, and that's why we've got the squad that we have got now, because they've been brought in with these people, by these people who are running our club. But we ain't going nowhere. So if we don't make it this season, I'd love us to go up. Obviously, of course I would. But if we don't make it, I'm still with them. I'm still here with the team. I'm still here with Pompey. I've been here for 43, 44 years now. So I don't think I'm going to walk away.
There's still loads more football left in this season. I mean, I'm still confident. If it's not going to be automatic, if playoffs and up. I mean, so that's where I'm sat at the moment, you know. So
Wembley, come on, fly over for Wembley, guys.
None of this next season. It's this season.
Yeah, we all want it this season, but I mean, we have to be realistic. We've built some good groundings, in the last 2.5 years that Danny's been here, and I think that we are moulding into a very, very strong Division 1 team who will progress to a strong Championship team with the team that we have got. As I mentioned, the owners, the CEO, the manager, and all the backroom staff that's going on at the club. I mean, media's only just got how much improved is the media that comes out of a place like Fratton Park nowadays compared to what it was when Kenny Jackett was there. Nobody said anything, but now everybody's saying everything, and it's great to see. Yes, I'd love it to be this time, Gaz, this season. Love it to be, and it still can be.
Just finally, before we move on to chat about Hereford and Morecambe to come, I think it would have been an absolute miracle if myself and the guy sat next to me would have been sat in Kenny Jackett's office with the camera in his face, chatting to him for half an hour. And he made you a cup of tea.
Danny made me a cup of tea.
You might have to come a little bit closer because we won't be able to hear you.
Was it a good cup of tea?
No, it's shocking, but it was a cup of tea nevertheless.
Put milky with the tea bag, didn't he, silly boy? Fatal error.
It was actually like dishwater chaps. Yeah.
Oh, was that all? Would you mind just coming a little bit, because you look like you're about. Yeah,
I'm about.
I know you're about, but you're very small in the corner of everyone's screen.
I'm a little guy.
We can hear him.
Yeah.
We can hear him.
Don't be shy, Andrew.
Yeah, he's all right.
Don't be shy now, Andrew.
Very quickly.
If you'd been interviewing Harry Redknapp, you'd have got yourself a wine.
Cookie would give you a Peroni.
Just don't call him a wheeler dealer.
No.
You got 30 seconds to chat, Danny, and then we're gonna move on.
Yeah, I've said what I've said, mate. Danny for me is around for the long term, and get those players back. We need those players back that are injured. Give him what he set that team up for the formation and the way he wants to play football with the players he had to hand at that time. It's all gone horribly wrong tenfold, isn't it? Because of those damages that have happened to people. So, what can you say? I think it was Mike said, or it might have been Brendan said, if we'd had the 11 players, it might have been Little Reese that we started the season with on the pitch, we'd have beaten both of them teams. And I don't think there's any doubt about that. We actually could have won both of those games, as it happens, with the chances the last 20 minutes against Oxford that we didn't put them away, and the ones that we didn't put away against Shrewsbury yesterday. We wouldn't be debating it now. It'd be 3-1 and 3-1, and it would be all over.
It'd be like Bristol Rovers in Cambridge, wouldn't it, at Fratton Park that week? I think we'd have similar.
That was a great week, that was.
So easy.
Bob has said, some great chat tonight, guys. Well said, Gaz and Co. Much appreciated. Thank you for that. It was a little over 30 seconds, but you're getting better at your timings, which is good to see. Yeah. I will have to plug back in because I need to do the things. You won't be able to hear it, but anyway, I'll chat about that another time. We'll go around the loop then one more time. We'll have thoughts on Morecambe and Hereford, if you don't mind. I know there's one lovely gentleman who's going to be there with me at Hereford. And are you coming to Morecambe as well, Barn?
No, I can't do Morecambe, unfortunately, mate. No, I'm working. It's one of only 5 grounds left in League One I haven't done, but I've got to work that weekend.
It's always next season.
Why? I don't think they're getting promoted to the Championship.
It's a joke.
They might be in League 2 by then.
Yeah, that's it. Chris is approving of what you said as well. So that's Chris, Cheltenham Chris, that is. So hello to Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hello to Chris. Reese, how are you? I know I spoke to Dad a minute ago and he said he's not fussed about cups. I know you're probably not either, but maybe a chance, as we say, to recoup and get some of the boys that are on the sick bed at the minute back. When you think Clark Robertson's throwing up at half-time in the dressing room, you know we need a little bit of a break from first-team football.
I generally think it's a perfect time for us as a squad. You know, we've all discussed all evening about injuries and how it's had a huge impact on, obviously, results as of late. The cup competitions could not have come at a better time. You know, we've got the EFL Cup coming up. great chance for obviously second string players and academy players to get a run out, and the FA Cup for the second string again. So really, even if we didn't have the injuries we do, we would have put out obviously a weaker side as it is. But it's just so happens to be once we've got all these injuries obviously going on with our first team squad, it's an opportunity for them to showcase obviously, a start in place maybe in the near future. That's the thing, isn't it? We've had many players before like Mingy and things like that have showcased their talents and actually got into the first team squad for the league games. I think it's another opportunity for them. If there's any better time, I'd rather hear it, because at the moment with all the injuries and everything going on, this could be a chance for league games coming up for the second string players.
Did I just say one thing? One player we saw have in Waterlooville pre-season was Vincent playing for us, who I thought was absolutely superb. Best player on the pitch for the 45 minutes of the second half. And he's on loan to
Hampton and Richmond.
How's Owen or somewhere?
He's got man and match twice, I think, as well.
He lost it the weekend, and he's still got man of the match.
Yeah.
So situation like that, we need to get him back, don't we? Get him back to play for us, because he's actually a really, really talented player, and I think we could do with him right now. So, Danny, if you're watching or listening, get Vincent back. My son will help us out.
I suppose when he turns around and looks at his bench and he has to bring on someone, I don't know, not trying to disrespect anyone, but it's another option, isn't it? And it's another one to look back. I think
last 20 minutes, 1-1 against Shrewsbury. Last 20 minutes, the pace and power that kid's got. Get him on the pitch, give him a shout.
Sean, how are you feeling about the next couple of weeks?
I'd like to know who all these second string players are we're going to play, because I think we're playing them. I think it's going to be more of the same. I think I agree. Vincent, I know, is the player we haven't got with at the minute, but I believe we've got a recall on him anyway, so we can get him back anytime. I think he can play for us. So I agree with Andrew. I get him back, and I'll be getting our players to play properly with the players that we have in the formations that we should be playing, and I'll be putting out the strongest team I've got to Hereford.
And Barney, any reflection? And I went on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and that's starting to be released over the next few days. So if you fancy a bit of a podcast for Fournilwrittenalloverit, then I'll get the links out over the next few days for that. But they mentioned to me about what's it like being on TV, because they kind of select us, and because the World Cup's on, etc. There's more games. Like we've got the Derby and the Wycombe one because Sky Sports haven't got the rights to World Cup football, which is a big surprise, and they choose to put on the only games that are on in that time period. It's on BBC Two, as we know, and it's available on Fournilwrittenalloverit the following morning as well. We should make sure we point that one out. Does that make you feel any different? Will Danny be thinking he doesn't want to put out the kids just in case there's a bit of an embarrassment and it's a 1-0 Hereford? Or is it same story, you want to get a result in the first round? Or do you want to be out the cup completely?
I think Tuesday night in the trophy, I think that's the game you put the kids out. That's the game we take a break. We go into Friday playing a pretty strong team, maybe one or two. Whoever's got the tightest hamstrings, whatever, whoever's complaining the most, give them a break. Tunnicliffe, like we've already mentioned, Tunnicliffe and Swanson and Raggett have all gone off or limped off in the last week or so. So maybe give those guys a rest. But I don't think it's right for the club that we put out a weak team. I think it's disrespectful to the FA Cup, to Hereford, for us to do that. And if we go there and lose, it's embarrassing. We can't be doing that. We have to give it the full attention, and then we hope at worst case scenario, we lose to a bigger team, a championship team, a premiership team in round 3. Bit of prize money in the FA Cup is far better than the prize money in the EFL Trophy.
But Barnes, having said that, two things come to mind. One, we were quite embarrassed by Harrogate last season for about 30 seconds after the game. We forgot about it. And the second thing I'd say is, can we afford any of those first team players to get injured against a tidy side that might be sticking the boot into us? Can we afford any more injuries on Friday night? That would be my question.
Yeah, I agree. That is the risk you play with a team like a famous cup set team like Hereford. They're going to want to come and hurt us. They're going to want to put it on us. You'll see tough challenges coming in the first 60 seconds. But I still stand by what I say, that you can't go there and expect to win with kids, because they will get bullied off the pitch. Look how many times even some of the players we think are good, but younger players that have gone out on loan, Minoga especially, he's gone out on loan, and each one of his loan spells has been pretty dismal, potentially because he's getting bullied by bigger physically men, maybe not as good footballers, but he's gone to, where was it, Bromley or Kent team, and they wanted rid of him because he was getting bullied all the time and got sent off twice in like 12 games or something. So I think we've got to give the game the full respect and assume that it's the Hereford of 20 years ago, a League Two team rather than a National League North team.
I think Gillingham's the team you're looking for, Barn.
Say again?
I think Gillingham's the team you're looking for.
No, I'm not talking this season. A year or two ago, Minogue went on loan to I'm sure
he went Weymouth second half of last year.
There you go. Sorry, Reece, you were going to jump in.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I interrupted you, so you don't need to apologise to me. I just forgot to apologise to you, Tom. That's the difference. But no, it's basically going off. Yeah, pretty much. No, it's basically going off of what Sean replied with what I said about obviously being able to afford to put our second string team out. Actually, he's right in respects that we are putting out a couple now as we speak, like Tunnicliffe, those names that we wouldn't naturally associate with starting 11s at the start of the season. So actually, what Barney was saying about obviously not trying to disrespect the cup and obviously the teams that we play in it. Who would you start then when we discuss about not putting out kids and things, bearing in mind the injury list is even growing longer day by day as it sounds, because not only are these games we're playing, every week that players getting injured, it seems like players are getting injured in training as well, and we just don't find out about it until after that particular game that week. I'm starting to realise that when it does come to cup competitions, we will be putting out any squad we possibly could right now, at the sounds of it. That's how I see it anyway.
We've got another keeper.
Yeah, I'm not going to try
I tell you what, Gaz, I was going to say to you, remember when you were gaffer of the day for the game against the Scummers, you wouldn't be surprised with a similar team against Wimbledon on Tuesday to that one, which is full of fantastic up-and-coming young talent, but gives them another opportunity under the lights at Fratton.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you only play what's in front of you. And these guys ran their socks off on that day. I know it was against the Scummers, and it was that equally added pressure, as a player for Pompey against the Scummer. But, the likes of Mingy coming back in and Tunnicliffe and even the young guys at the back, they all gelled really well. And they really wanted to play for the badge. Yeah, I agree that obviously, you want to respect it on Friday, on the FA Cup and all that. But for me, just put out, like Reece said, just put out what we've got, but without having too many, concerns about the first 11, because at the end of the day, League One is our bread and butter. Winning the FA Cup and winning other cups ain't going to get you promotion. And ultimately, we want to be promoted in the Championship. Yeah, we're not there, which we shouldn't be there on right. However, it's now getting to the stage now where it's getting frustrating that, after season after season after season, we're getting too many missed opportunities. And I think with this squad, which has been the strongest squad that we've had in years, this could be a big missed opportunity if we don't go up this season.
Brendan, Mike, I'll come to you first on the sort of the FA Cup situation, and then Brendan, if you'd like to finish us off with a thought ahead of Morecambe.
Yeah, I understand what Gaz is saying there. That yes, it is the priority. It's right. It is the priority. That's our bread and butter. That's what we want. We want to be promoted. But sometimes the FA Cup games can actually build our momentum, our confidence, and things, and be able to push us into the next league game, and then have another break away from the league, and then have another FA Cup game. Yes, I don't want more players to get injured, but I want us to give us a good account of ourselves. I mean, it is a historic cup, and we bemoan the Premiership teams who put in weakened sides when they do it in the early stages. But it's a hard one to call. But I do think that you can get momentum from a cup win, whether it be in the small start in stages of it or getting towards the latter rounds or whatever. But I just hope I have my faith in Danny. Danny, play what you need to play for both games, be it the Checkatrade or the FA Cup. But the priority is the league.
And on to Morecambe. Well, they're bottom of the table, and they got a decent result yesterday with a draw away to Wycombe. And by the looks of it, on looking on the stats, they had they're the better possession, they're the better chances to score. is it going to be a time where they're going to turn up and upset us like they did last year? Because last year was the game where we had to win to sort of keep our toe in the playoff race, and unfortunately that came to an end away to Morecambe. So now, are they going to have the fight of Tyson Fury behind them? I hope not. I hope we're going to do the business on them and kickstart another sort of momentum. Danny said in his interview yesterday that there's a 2-week break now. Hopefully by our next league game, the Cavalry are back. So hopefully you'll have your Pack, your Lowry. That's it, really. You know, Rafferty's gonna be out with his operation still. I just think that this is the time to play the team who's bottom of the table. It's probably the time when you want to bounce back from 2 sort of disappointing performances as such, 2 disappointing results, to play bottom of the table, stick 4 past them, and get back on track for our promotion fight.
We'd love 4, wouldn't we, Brendan? Dad wants to say bye.
Yeah, everyone else stay there, but I'm gonna go now because I've got to go and pick the girl up. She's been into a party, so I've got to go get her. Sorry about this, chaps. I know you're gonna miss me
terribly.
I'm going to be off. I'm going to be off as well. I've got a bit of a sore throat, and it's going to make me cough.
Before you go, then, Mike, just remember
that. He's gone. He's actually gone.
Dad, sorry. Go on.
Just to say, just remember what I said yesterday. There's 3 types of people in this world: those that can count and those that can't.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, mate. I would say that. Yeah, that was oddly. We had a couple of comments about them saying, "Oh, Andrew always brings the fun and the laughs." I'm like, no. Anyway, we discourage it as best we possibly can. It's been a bit of a nappers takeover. Ben and his mum are in the stream. Thanks, Mike. We'll see you soon. But before we leave you, we're going to take one. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do one more loop round the group. We'll get some score predictions going if we can. I'll take 2 of you. We'll take a Hereford and a Morecambe. We'll ignore the we won't ignore, but we won't bother with the Wimbledon game because with 1 hour 27, and we haven't quite, time doesn't quite permit. So, Reese, how are we feeling about both of the games score wise?
I actually think we'll win 3-1 at Hereford. I generally think they're going to get a goal. They're in front of their own crowd, obviously. They'll be up for it. We all know what lower league clubs are like in the FA Cup and Cup competitions. However, I do actually think we will win 4-0 at Morecambe. I generally do. I'm confident. Up the Blues.
we take those, mate. We take a 4-0. That'd be wonderful. Feel free to get your score predictions for both of those games in the comment section down below. Look forward to getting through those. We'll get through every single one of them. Also, something we need to do is crown our goal of the month as well, which I hadn't forgot about. So we're going to do that in just a moment too. We'll quickly wrap around these scores. Sean, go for it.
It depends on what he plays. I think it's going to be a scrappy, hard-fought, probably 1 or 2-1 to us. I think against for the first one, and then the second one against Morecambe. It depends. We're going to win 2-0.
I thought he was going to go 4-0.
No, I'm positive, but it's just I don't like it at the minute.
Bon?
I'll keep it short and sweet. 2-1 nils. I think they'll be scrappy games. Hereford will defend with all their life, and the same with Morecambe because of their league position. But I think we'll come away with a move forward to round 2 and 3 points for the league.
Gather?
I'll go with 2-1 and 2-1. I think we're going to concede in both games. At the moment, we don't seem to be at zeros at the moment, so I'll go with 2-1. That'll do for me.
We don't do many zeros at the minute. I think we had a clean sheet at Forest Green, but that was the first one for a while, and then we haven't kept one for whatever.
Ragged Town.
No, that was it. Yeah, that was it. Brendan, what would you want to talk on behalf of your dad? Can you give us one from wherever he may be?
Yeah, I want to say, Dad.
What do you
predictions?
Oh, sorry,
predictions.
Oh, right.
He's here now.
Sorry, guys. I've got to get a throat sweet. Which one are we doing first?
Hereford.
Hereford. Let's do a 3-1 for Hereford, please.
Nice.
And then Morecambe away.
Oh, Morecambe away. Ooh, tough one.
Bottom of the table.
4-0 written all over it.
There we go. Brendan, what do you reckon?
It's weird. I'll go 3-1 against Hereford. I think they're going to score because, weird enough, we've got, on paper, it's a strong back four, isn't it, effectively? But we just can't keep a clean sheet. So, yeah, I'm going for a 3-1 Pompey to Hereford, against Hereford. And then, yeah, we'll go to Morecambe and we're going to give someone a dick in and win 4-0.
There's still time to choose your goal of the month for October, and here's a reminder of the contenders. Josh Caroma's trademark finish against Fleetwood. Sean Raggett's header at Forest Green. Or Zach Swanson's stunning first senior goal. There's still a few seconds to vote in the poll in the live chat down below.
You have still got a few seconds. We're going to whiz round the group one more time and get a thought on this. I think it's going to be quite an easy whiz round, but we'll see. Without looking at the poll yet, and we always know that the people at home decide the outcome of this, and the panel have absolutely no say, much to Retro Shirt Sean's disappointment. Reese, what's your goal of the month for October?
I'll keep it short. Zach Swanson, definitely.
Sean?
It's got to be Raggett making up for the goals he can see.
Brilliant. Barn?
Yeah, Swanson. No brainer.
Gaz?
Yeah, Swanson all day long.
And I think we're going to have Brendan and Mike are going to round us off nicely with a Swanson.
Swanson! Colby Bishop, penalty number 1.
I thought about putting those. To be honest, Brendan, before this weekend, before Swanson scored, there was a genuine concern that I was going to have to put one of the penalties for Colby Bishop, since he hasn't scored any goals. Right, well,
Swanson all the way. Sorry, it'll be Swanson.
Well, it's interesting actually. So that's a 100% Swanson if I consider myself in that as well. A great view on Fournilwrittenalloverit, by the way, if we do say so ourselves of that one. Third place, Sean Raggett's header at Forest Green, unfortunately for Sean, 8% of the vote. And then second place is Josh Caroma's trademark goal against Fleetwood, which unfortunately he's been found out for, so he might not be doing many more of those anymore. That one's got 20% of the vote. And then an overwhelming 72% of the vote for Zach Swanson. Right, ladies and gents, it's been a pleasure this evening. It's the guys who Reese and Barney will know this, but we normally try and confine ourselves to an hour, but we always end up overrunning. And thank you to everyone for sticking with us as well. As I said at the start of the show, it's going to be a couple of weeks before we see you again. Obviously, that depends on how quickly myself and Brendan can get back. But a massive thank you to the boys on the panel for joining me tonight and for all the fun, as always, on 4-0 Sunday Live. And a massive thank you to you for joining us as well. We will see you on Friday night. Myself and Barney will be there. And yeah, look forward to seeing you then. 3-1 and 4-0, I think, was the main consensus on the score. So we'll go for those. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, and we'll see you soon. Bye from us.
See you, boys.
Yeah. That's it.